All right, Brian, you got your wish. Jonathan Kuminga was in the starting lineup tonight, which was the Warriors' one adjustment to what happened in game two. There were a couple of other adjustments, but were you excited to see your boy, Jonathan Kuminga, get the starting nod?
I was really excited. Pretty underwhelming, don't you think? he was I think he was moving. He was the game was going too fast for him. He was making the wrong decisions, and I think he needed that for like developmental purposes. But the thing is, like, it's not a developmental playoffs. They're trying to win this whole thing. They can't risk that kind of stuff.
I thought it was a little unfair. And you know what? This is one of our opening points here. So this is point one. Let's just kick it off here talking about Kuminga. I thought it was a little unfortunate because it was almost like they were like, okay, just go. And he was like, okay. And they were able to sag a guy off of Draymond. At least I think that was the reason. And so Kuminga would make a decision, and then he'd go into two defenders, and he'd go up with really no place to go. And it's not like I think everyone was sort of staying home on the other shooter, so he couldn't really kick it out. But yeah, it was a little frustrating to see that happen, but I don't think it was all that surprising. I kind of feel like the move was obviously to raise the energy level offensively, to get out and get a good start, but it actually was the opposite. They got off to a bad start with him in there, and they had to take him out because he was just getting so frustrated. He's kind of emotionless sometimes, and there's a couple times today where he's like banging his hand on the court and stuff. So yeah, it was almost like Kerr was like, okay, got some up my sleeve, and Grizzlies were like, nah, dude, it's not gonna work.
It didn't help that the Grizzlies were absolutely hitting everything from three. Like, I think there was one point where they were like 5 for 6 from three. I mean, if you're on like the Fitz and Kalena broadcast, if they were like Grizzlies announcers, there would have been so many like, Ja just shot it from the Bay Bridge. Like, they were just hitting from him. Ja and Jaren, I believe, like, had just two deep threes, and it's like, what the hell? How is this happening?
Yeah, my video is a little laggy. I apologize. It'll clear up. Wait, what broadcast have you been listening to? Have you been listening to the hometown broadcast?
No, I haven't.
Me neither. I haven't listened to 1 second of Fitz and Kalena.
I think, well, because my Hulu, it'll just give me a broadcast and I'll just listen to it. But it's been giving me TNT ESPN lately, but it gave me the Warriors one, like game 1 or 2 of the Nugget series. So I think I was listening to it halfway through until you and Ben were like, yeah, there's like another broadcast on right now.
Yeah, I think I just enjoy the Breen, Van Gundy, and Jackson version because, I mean, you can go back to the late 2000s when they got together. So it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of the older days. So I like listening to them. As long as I don't have to listen to Richard Jefferson, man. He sounds like too much like Barry Bonds with that high-pitched voice. So
I like Richard Jeff.
I mean, he's good, but his voice drives me nuts.
Yeah. I will say about the JVG broadcast really quick, just a quick little point. They had to promote the Miami Grand Prix for F1, and Van Gundy said that Lewis Hamilton was going to win it all. And I mean, for someone who's like not an F1 fan, I do not blame him for saying that, because it's essentially just picking LeBron this year to win the championship, right? Yeah. But it's like the Lakers are awful, and same with Mercedes. They're not good this year. But it's hard because Lewis Hamilton, LeBron. How do you not pick LeBron to be a favorite for a title? But the Lakers suck. Kind of similar deal there.
Did you see that Drive to Survive got picked up for 2 more seasons on Netflix?
I did. I'm excited.
I kind of wonder if Netflix is going to make an attempt to get the rights to the live races. It would make sense because, I know Netflix says, we're not going to do live sports. Some of that is because I don't think that they understand how they can monetize it as well as like some movie that someone's going to watch 100 times over and over and over. Like live sports, a little different, but I don't know. It's an up and coming sport. It's the highest, one of the highest growing sports, especially when it comes to live television ratings. So that'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. If people are watching live and they want to throw us some comments, we'll check out the comments and we'll put them on on the live feed here. So going back to the Kuminga thing, in the second half started, Otto Porter got the start. So they didn't even go to the whatever this the fast five or whatever we wanted to call it lineup. They did play Porter, and Porter was able to hit a couple shots. So he wasn't another Draymond out there, meaning that they couldn't just guard him. So they went there. Kuminga does get a little bit of run near the end of the game, so he ends up 8 of 10 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 18 points. He is the fourth leading scorer on the team, and he's only played 17 minutes. So a little bit, we were all kind of going like, I hope they get him in again because he kind of had a little bit of a bad run there, and help him with his confidence because I do think he's going to still that there's going to be a game where he makes a difference. Tonight was not that night, but it was interesting to see that was Kerr's main, kind of one of his I guess the most visual, like to the fans. It's like, oh, what's Kerr gonna do? Oh, he's gonna start Kuminga. Oh, okay, like that's but there were other things during the game which we will get to.
What I
Okay.
do want to ask you though is I'm listening.
Yes.
I have the ABC after the game on my TV screen right now,
Mhm.
and one of the polls they're doing is who should start Game 4, Otto, Kuminga, or Poole. Who do you think? Poole's winning the vote poll by a lot, but I mean,
That's a good question, and I think I would answer that question differently depending on how Ja is. Now, I fully expect Ja Morant to play. He just seems like a guy who's gonna wrap it up. He got injured in the mid fourth quarter, and it was serious enough that they were still within. I think they were within 16. It was like maybe a 16-point lead. Warriors had gotten it up as much as 21-22. They got it down to 16. They had just shown Ja telling his team like, look, we just play the same that we always play. We don't have to make any changes. Let's just keep playing. And then there's a loose ball. He gets trapped by Poole, and was it Clay who also was in
it
that
was
trap?
Poole and Wiggins, I
Okay, Poole
believe.
and Wiggins. And so they slap the ball out of his hand. He goes and reaches down, and the announcers thought, or at least the broadcast thought, that might be where he would have hurt his knee. Now he had knee trouble earlier in the season, missed a handful of games. And look, he's a small guy with a crazy usage rate on this team. So he's constantly in action on everything. They try to hide him on defense, but that did not work today because the Warriors went and found him on defense. So, that was part of the idea was like, look, how are we gonna get Ja in a little bit more action defensively? And the Warriors did find him. So not to say that was the reason why he got hurt, but they made him play a little bit more today than they did what was it, Monday
Mhm.
night or Tuesday, whenever they last played.
And I think like with like those injuries that you can't really pinpoint where it happened, I feel like those are usually the worst ones too. I really hope Ja Morant plays, is because you never wish injury upon a player.
No.
He's been ridiculously good. Like he's been so good, and it's so fun to watch. But when I was rewatching that play, I can't really pinpoint exactly where it happened. It doesn't look like he grimaces at any point in that play. He gets up and like in the slow-mo version, he looks fine, honestly. But
So Taylor Jenkins, Grizzlies head coach, said that Jordan Poole grabbed Morant's knee and yanked it. Now I saw the replay, and it definitely looked like he had his hand on his kneecap. But if that's what happened, that's kind of dirty. Like, I mean, I don't know what yanking on a knee even means. But that's going to be, especially if their coach is going to go and make that,
yeah,
public, that's
that's
going to
been
be a story.
it's been such a story this whole series. Draymond flagrant 2 game 1, Dylan Brooks flagrant 2 game 2, suspended game 3. Desmond Bain, even, I know Warriors Twitter was taking it. There was a play where Poole, I don't know if it was a foul or not. It got called a foul, but Poole poked the ball out of Desmond Bain's hands. The ball was like on the right side of Poole, and Desmond Bain just kind of dove down right at his knees. I don't think he was meaning to be dirty or anything, but I mean that's another one that they were pinpointing. And with this Poole one too, I just didn't think like it's unintentional. I don't think it's dirty if that's what happened. I couldn't. It didn't look like anything to me.
Yeah, and I don't know, if it is their um like it's a strategic thing, right? So after last game, so when GP goes down, a lot of Grizzlies fans thought Steve Kerr was so public in talking about that play that that's what helped get Dylan Brooks suspended. It's quite possible, but Steve is
Mm.
a very emotional guy. But you know, if that is what caused the officials to suspend Dylan Brooks, then that's really stupid. It should just be what happened, not what the coach thinks or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see how they play this because there's only one day, so there's only one news day, which is tomorrow, and then they play Monday. So there's not a lot. The whole, part of the reason why this Dylan Brooks thing was such a story is there were so many days in between games. And so there won't be as many days in between games this time, and so I think so. We'll figure out what happens, but I don't
Yeah,
know. I just don't understand how someone can yank on somebody's knee. But
exactly. Like I could tell you right now that there's no chance he gets suspended. Like I'll have to watch the replay, I guess, a couple more times and specifically look for that. But there's just no way he gets suspended. And I think the suspension, yes, was like played into like I don't even want to say it was played into like social media and the outbreak it had, and the NBA was forced into a decision because that's what Skip Bayless was like crying about on his TV show. But I feel like it was more that they had a almost identical incident in the regular season, and I even said it on this podcast last time we did it, where
Mhm.
Grayson Allen hit Caruso,
Yeah.
got the suspension, and it just seemed like okay, here was what we used as our baseline for deciding it because it was almost identical, and boom, suspension.
So we can actually, I see on Twitter, of course, Warriors World is the one who shared the video. Warriors World was in a lot of action these last couple days. Two of my friends actually going at each other. Okay, so I think we can share the screen here, and let's just look at the play. I mean, maybe if you slow it down a little bit more, there's something else going on. But based on what I could tell, no, it doesn't look it doesn't look crazy enough here. But where's my Twitter feed?
The thing though that I did see about that play, and it's not shared yet, but I don't see it on the
There we go.
screen, but
Here we go.
Poole did have
Okay,
his it's a foul. Jordan Poole did have his hand when
right
he spoke.
there, and
He's
then grab the knee. But that was not grabbing the knee to try and grab the knee. That was trying to grab the basketball.
yeah, replay that one more time.
So we're gonna replay it again here. So, yeah, she was trying to grab the basketball. He wasn't trying to grab his
If
knee. Like,
that's the
eh,
injury, that's crazy.
it's very unfortunate if that is the injury. So, all right. So, let's talk a little bit about from Mark, my friend Mark says Taylor Jenkinson's reaching. What a twit to even bring that up. Maybe he thinks that that's the way. If he really believes that Steve Kerr baited the officials to suspend Dylan Brooks, it's possible that that's what he's doing. But what it also tells me is that he might be a little worried about Ja, right? Because if your guy is out, then you kind of want to have one of the other
Have Poole
guys on
out.
the other team out. So kind of weird one there. All right, so let's go to the next topic here. So we talked about this. What do you do with Ja? He was so explosive. He was so unstoppable in game 2. And they get out to a quick lead, which sends the Warriors into a zone. Now, I don't think the zone was this exceptional defense that stopped anything. That's not what a zone does. What it did, though, is it kind of slowed the Grizzlies down because I had texted you and Ben, I don't know, it was like 5 minutes into the game, and I was like, the Warriors look slow and the Grizzlies look really fast. And so then they throw this zone in, and all it did was it made the Grizzlies have to actually run a play. They couldn't just get to a spot and get an open three and shoot it. Now they had to actually run a play. And there was a couple heat checks. Like there was a Jaren Jackson heat check. There was another heat check. Warriors get the rebound. They get a bucket. And that's literally what that zone was good for. It was just to slow them down. And I thought it was pretty good. They didn't play a zone the whole game. Ja eventually started to get some insane dunks right over guys. Like, we talked about this in the last podcast about how he's able to make decisions in the air, very unlike almost anybody in the game today. But just also the ability to hang and finish over guys because he waits for their jump to kind of be coming down, and he's still sort of able to hang. It's tremendous athleticism. But overall, I think what they did, and this is similar to what we saw with Jokic, they made it the one man wrecking crew against a team. And that's what I saw for most of this game was Ja was getting his, but nobody else was. What did you see?
That's kind of what it felt like. It was kind of daring the teammates to beat them, and the teammates did not beat them. Zaire Williams looked good in the first 2 minutes, but he was 1 for 5 from 3 by the end of the game. Desmond Bane, another quiet night, who could still be dealing with injury. We don't really know. It didn't feel like
He looked
Jaren
better,
Jackson
though.
Jr. Yeah,
Bane looked
I think
better,
he had
a lot
16
better.
tonight. Agreed. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. It didn't seem as, I don't know his stats. I actually could pull it up right now, but
He shot great from 3. He was 4 of 8 from 3, 0 of 5 other on other shots. So he ended up 4 of 13 shooting, 15 points, 3 rebounds, minus 14.
Yeah, it felt like limit the teammates. You can't really stop Ja no matter how hard you try, and it worked.
Now the Grizzlies teammates are a little bit scarier than the Nuggets teammates, right? Because we were watching this happen to Jokic. It was like, okay, yeah, like let him pass it to, except for Monte Moore, maybe he kind of played big, but let him pass it to these other guys, and they're kind of, they don't really want that ball there. You could sort of tell, but with the Grizzlies, it's a little bit different. However, this is where I kind of wonder if Dylan Brooks was missed. It wasn't in the offense because he would have bricked a bunch of threes too, but the Warriors were able to get to the bucket so well tonight. And if you have Dylan Brooks and his 6 fouls, you know how closely he's hugging Steph, how closely he'd be hugging Poole. I thought he would have been a difference maker tonight, but offensively, I still think the Warriors would have won the game because the Grizzlies, outside of Ja, they just, except for that barrage that you were talking about at the beginning, they just couldn't shoot very well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Dylan Brooks was definitely missed on defense today. Not on offense, though. But yeah, they could have definitely used a guy like him on defense. And I just hope Ja's not out. But what I will say is, though, when Ja was out in the regular season, they played their best. Do I think that can be replicated in the postseason? Absolutely not. So
Give me all the Tyus Jones in the world.
yeah. Well, okay. So I did. Someone was saying, I think it was Kawakami was saying that they were lining up Looney and Brandon Clark's minutes. Like a couple of the guys from games 1 and 2 that felt really important, like Brandon Clark, kind of just felt not there at all tonight.
He was awful tonight.
Yep.
He couldn't get those rebounds that he was getting, especially in the first game. He ends up 1 of 4 shooting, 2 rebounds, a minus 24. He's the worst plus minus on the Grizzlies, and he only played 16 minutes. So I think they sort of figured that he was not going to be a big part of this game. But Steven Adams got 5 minutes tonight, and in those 5 minutes, minus 7. So that's why they don't play him, because he I mean,
no, you can't count those minutes. Those just double reserves where they just put out the worst players. Like those.
Yeah, but
those
who was
are
he matched up
useless.
on?
Kuminga.
He was matched on Kuminga.
Yeah, but I don't know. Wasn't Steven Adams. Did he have COVID, or he had some kind of illness, or he missed game 1 because of something? It wasn't just a DMP. Game 2, I believe, was a DMP, and then tonight he got a couple minutes. They could try it. They could try it.
Well, you'd have to probably play him against Looney, sorry. And yeah, I don't know, the Warriors do a really good job. I mean, I think what we would see is, and you were asking this earlier, which is, why don't the Warriors target specific guys on defense like Chris Paul is doing in the Dallas series, and like Luka is doing in the Dallas series. And it's really never been what Kerr has believed in. Now, when he had KD, it was different, right? Because KD is the ultimate mid-range scorer, maybe in history of the NBA, honestly. But they don't have that guy. You have Poole, who will get to the hole, and you have Steph, who will get to the hole. But those are the guys that you would basically be wanting to find the shot. And if you take them out of their normal offense, which is a lot of running through screens, then you miss a lot of the mismatch opportunities that they do get because of the way that the offense flows. And you see the action of, and we saw this today. There was a moment where Jordan Poole goes to the rim, feeds Looney. Looney didn't even try and finish. Poole sneaks out to the base to near the 3-point line in the corner. Looney finds him. Boom. So if you do that hunting stuff, then you miss out on a lot of those kind of plays, which is kind of what the Warriors offense does. Now, do they need to do it a little bit more? I think yes, because we saw Poole getting matched up on Ja. And really, that's the only flaw in Ja's game is he's not really a great one-on-one defender. They try to hide him a lot because of his size. And, Curry in 2013, 2012 timeframe, I'm sure there's a parallel, but Curry's a better rebounder, at least defensive rebounds. And I know Ja ends up with a lot of rebounds because he's just such a great athlete. But those hard rebounds, the ability to fight through stuff, I think Ja takes some plays off defensively sometimes. And in these playoffs, he's going to have to be able to do that on defense. And they kind of talked about it a little bit on the broadcast where they were saying he has the ability to probably be a halfway decent defender.
Yeah, he's athletic. He has the tools. Similar to why Donovan Mitchell shouldn't be this bad on defense. Anthony Edwards, also another athlete who's actually pretty decent on defense. But it's like a lot of these like offensive, like your best scorer, I can think of like Trae Young is like the worst defender in the league, but he brings so much offensively. Trae Young's another person who gets the target he wants on switches. Luka, bad defender. I know there's a couple of Donovan Mitchell, I guess, but yeah, I guess that is the one flaw. I guess you could say maybe just shooting threes, but I really don't think he needs it. It seems like he's just completely like,
well, he's always going to get open ones, right? Because of his ability to take guys off the dribble, and they're going to take that step back because they know that he's going to get there. So any three that he really wants, he's got it. He could take it because he's going to have that room because he's so good off the dribble that these guys don't, they don't want to get put in a carousel or whatever by falling to the ground like Poole did in game 2. Okay, so
it felt like, wait, really quick. It felt like they did a lot more. They went at Kyle Anderson a lot. That was good for them.
He got mad today.
Yeah,
I never seen him get that mad.
Neither have I. And then I think they were doing some Kuminga high screen. I don't know who was on him. I forget who was on him, but they wanted that guy on Steph and Poole. I don't know if it was Clark. I don't know if it was Tillman, but they got some of that going where Kuminga was the roller, get the ball, and then make the decision. Am I gonna finish? Am I gonna kick it? I thought that worked for a couple possessions, which was like that second stint he got. He got like what 3 or 2 stints in the whole game. That one, and then he got sat for like the whole rest of the first half, most of the second. Maybe gets brought in one more time, and then he gets the reserve minutes. That was interesting.
So, like we said, the zone doesn't really stop Ja, but it does turn other guys into jump shooters. So DeAnthony Melton, 5 of 14 shooting, 1 of 8 from 3. He and Jaren Jackson took the most threes of any Grizzly. Steph was only 2 of 8 from 3 tonight. Kind of interesting. I didn't realize watching the game that he was only 2 of 8. You had Zaire Williams, like you said, 3 of 8 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3. Desmond Bane played a little bit better. He was 4 of 7 from 3. And then Kyle Anderson, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 of 6. He was the best plus minus of any Grizzly before he got kicked out of the game, but he only played 16 minutes. On the Warriors end, Andrew Wiggins had another sneaky good game, which doesn't really show too much in the stats. 7 of 10 shooting, 17 points, +3. He didn't really rebound like he has been, but he was fighting in there. He was being physical. He was tipping balls. He flushed over somebody, maybe even twice. I think he dunked twice.
It was Brandon Clark.
Draymond's stat line is kind of ridiculous. Draymond had 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 points.
Did he have any blocks or steals?
1 block, 4 turnovers, 0 steals.
Did you think he had a good game?
Watching it, I thought he was turning the ball over a little bit too much. The thing that he was doing really well, as shown by his 4 fouls, is he was jumping straight up. He wasn't trying to, 2 of those fouls were from screens, and one of them he got really mad at Steph because Steph was doing too much dancing and he was trying to hold the screen forever. But I just thought the thing that I thought he did really well, which is shown by his assist total, is early on he made a couple dumb passes, but he really shored that up in the second half, and he was making the smart play. He wasn't trying to speed up the game maybe when they weren't ready to speed up the game. I thought he played really well. He only played 26 minutes too, and I'm not exactly sure why. Some of it may have been the 3 first quarter fouls, but otherwise, when it comes to the main players, he only had 2 minutes more than Porter, and a minute more than Wiggins. So he only played 26 minutes. So I mean, hopefully that's good for his for the rest of the series, for his stamina. He didn't take any unnecessary beatings. Clay, another interesting stat line, because there's sometimes where I watch him and I'm like, man, this dude is hunting for shots again. And whenever he hunts for shots, especially these hard twos, he's missing them, and they're bad misses because they create fast break opportunities on the other end. But 4 of 6 from 3, 9 rebounds. That was tough. 21 points, +22 on the night. Jordan Poole had the highest plus minus. He was a +33 for the Warriors. Steph was 30 and 6, 14 of 14 from the free throw line, which was clutch because no other Warrior had more than 2 free throws, and only Ja Morant had as many as 5 free throws for the Grizzlies. So they were shooting a lot of jumpers. Warriors were getting to the hole, but Steph was the only one getting to the line. Even Jordan Poole, as much as he went to the rim, he only had 2 free throws. So Jordan Poole, 27 points, which leads me to my next one, which was another pool party. Jordan Poole, he had the moments that he had in those Nuggets games where the Warriors, for whatever reason, they're whatever play they're running, or whatever, they just can't do anything. And it's like Jordan Poole's like, okay, let me get a screen and I'll be slippery and I'm going to get a bucket. And he was excellent at that tonight. He didn't get bogged down in what I thought in game 2, which was a lot of dribbling, a lot of trying to create something where it wasn't there. And he played a lot more towards some of those good Nuggets games tonight. And I thought he was excellent. We'll see about that grabbing the knee thing, but really good stuff for Jordan Poole tonight.
I thought Jordan Poole was awesome. You said it, 27 points. Seemed like he was a little frustrated in the beginning. He seemed like he wanted some foul calls that weren't going his way, but he was just on tonight. Like there were a couple just like step back twos where I'm like, dude, why are you doing a step back two? Like that's such a tough shot. And then he just hits it. And then that's when you know that he's like going. It reminded me of like that late March or that March to April run that he did in the regular season, where it's just like, how is this dude hitting some of the shots that he's hitting? And he was, yeah.
So let's go back to your poll question. It seems, and this is what I've always said about Poole, is he's instant offense for a team that can get bogged down sometimes because they often play non-shooters. Now, if Steph is off or Clay is off, Wiggins is dribbling his way into contested 19-footers. They need somebody who can get an easy bucket, and Poole can do that because he is so fast. I like him coming off the bench, so I don't think I would start him. I might go back a little Otto and just be willing if he may get a couple early foul calls and just be ready. Okay, what's our next play if Otto isn't having a good game? Is it bringing in Poole immediately, or maybe it is bringing in Kuminga, or maybe it's bringing Looney in? Who I'm not exactly sure if Looney and Draymond will really play together again, but just be ready to have that plan B, and I'm fine with them starting Otto. I kind of liked how that looked, because the one thing about Otto is he's not going to get caught up. He's not gonna fall for all these pump fakes, and he's not going to try and block a shot. He's going to box out. He's going to try to get the rebound. So he's going to play, sort of that fundamental style, which is good. And he's just a calming presence on the team, because that one, what was he in the plus minus today? He was a plus 30, so he's second to Jordan Poole in plus minus, and he's been like that for most of these playoffs. So
is your third segment about Otto or no?
No, third segment was the pool party.
Oh, this is number 3. Okay, then this I think we should go on our Otto rant, because I think he's been awesome. I think Otto has been fantastic. And the thing with Otto, though, I think really backpedaling just a little bit. What you were saying about the poll, where it's if Ja is in there, that's a different starting lineup than when Ja is out. I think if Ja misses the next game, I think you go fast 5 from the jump, just try to kill him. If Ja is in, I think you go Otto. That would be my opinion. But with Otto, I just feel like he does all the right things. You can argue the travel call in the first quarter. I didn't think it was a travel. I just think, like Jeff Van Gundy said, it just looked awkward. So that's why people were quick to call the travel. But with Otto, I don't think you can look at his 3-point percentage, even though we love, like, that was what he was marketed as when he was like coming
3 of 5 tonight.
Yeah. But he was just like some 3-point shooter on the Bulls. Like, that's kind of what or the Wizards. That's kind of what we knew him as, was just this really good sharpshooter, right? But I feel like lately it hasn't totally mattered. Like, I don't think he has a bad game if he's not hitting threes, because I think he's just so impactful on other things, whether it's keeping the possession alive on tipping offensive rebounds, or, drawing a loose ball foul or something when he's just trying to make an effort to get the offensive rebound. He makes the right plays defensively, great rebounder. I just think that the threes, it just makes it so much better now that he's hitting them. But I would like to give a little shout out to Warriors front office, because it seemed like it was the reports that I remember from the offseason was that we wanted Patty Mills and we wanted Batum. Neither of them came. We got Otto Porter Jr. and Jordan Poole stepped up, and it honestly is better than what I think those two could have been. I think Batum actually could have been really nice, but I think Otto Porter Jr. has been outstanding. Like, I feel like that should have been a point, man. Otto Porter Jr. alone, and I think Otto Porter Jr.
You could send me some stuff.
Yeah,
I don't have to come up with all of them.
I think Otto needs an alliteration, like pool party. Otto. Auto onslaught. It's an auto onslaught.
Automatic.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so Warriors, the game gets out of hand in the fourth quarter once Ja goes out, because Taylor Jenkins just pulls everybody out of the game. The Warriors end up winning 142-112, so they win by 30 points, and we go to Game 4, which is Monday at the Chase Center. So the Warriors can go up 3-1, or the Grizzlies can tie it again and retake home court advantage back. All right, before we do get out of here, we want to talk a little bit around the NBA. And since we didn't play the sexy music for the Kuminga watch, so the other series is, which is the one that you are trying to pay attention to the most? Because there's so much basketball on. I can't watch everything, but are you watching Phoenix just to kind of scout, just in case the Warriors do get to Phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the series you're watching most closely?
No, the most interesting. I should be. I am watching it, but the series that's the most exciting has got to be Bucks Celtics. Even though, like, I feel like game 1 and 2 were kind of like blowout games where I feel like this series was supposed to be very like a very like tight series, you know? Like I thought this was supposed to be like the two best teams in the East going at each other. No offense, Heat. But game 3 was kind of finally that. It was like a tight game all the way through, ended on Al Horford not getting the tip in time to tie it up.
What did you think about the foul call?
It was the one where they wanted it to be 3 shots instead of 2. Jeez. I don't really know. What did you think?
I didn't see it in the context. I only saw it in the replay. And so it's hard to like sometimes when they showed it in slow motion, it's almost harder to sort of figure it out because I kind of want to see how it happened. I don't know that rule, how they determine what's on the floor and what's in the act of shooting, it seems so 50-50 to me because there's so many moments where I'm like, okay, that's on the floor, and then they count it, and then others where I'm like, that's clearly in the act of shooting, and then they say it's on the floor. There was one in today's game where I want to say it was Kyle Anderson got an and one, where somebody got an and one on the Grizzlies, and the Warriors are like, that was on the floor. And I was like, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know how
that
to make
stuff's
that
so
call.
weird now. I don't know anymore. Announcers say that too. They're like, I don't even know anymore what's on the floor and what's in the motion of shooting. But yeah.
So Ben, our buddy Ben, just texted us and said that Ja Morant tweeted out that Jordan Poole hurt his knee, and he wrote that he broke the code, but then he deleted the tweet.
Ja Morant's so great at entertainment. Like, I mean, I would just reply with a video, like a picture of Dylan Brooks bashing Gary Payton's head, and then a picture of Jordan Poole's hand on your knee. Like, did he break his knee? Like, then he maybe, but
Look,
no.
I don't. Social media is so interesting. We talked about this before, where you kind of grew up and it was in existence. And what are you? You're the same age as Ja, is that right?
Ja's like a year younger than me, or we're the same age. Is he 22?
I thought maybe
I
he's
think he might
22.
be 22. I am 22.
So anyway, the fact that he is in this moment, the biggest moment of his career, the second round of the NBA playoffs, and it is his show. It is literally his show. The Warriors may very well win the series, but everyone's going to talk about how well Ja played, right? That's just kind of how it's going to go. And he's on this stage, he's playing so well, and to have his fortunes go sideways on some sort of fluky injury, it has got to be frustrating. Now, does he believe that Poole tried to hurt him? I don't imagine he does, but maybe in the moment when he's so mad, thinking like, gosh, this is so unfair, you need an excuse for something to happen,
that's what
and you
happened.
point at that. But also his coach does not his coach saying that does not give him a good mentor there to kind of chill out. So it is what it is. It's entertainment, it's basketball. The NBA Twitter is probably going crazy, right, about this stuff. They're having a blast with it. This is kind of what it is. This is why we love this stuff. And I mean, all eyes on the announcement because it's like I said, he's only got 24 hours to rest, and then they play again on Monday. So, all right. So let's go back to what you were talking about in this Boston-Milwaukee game. So Milwaukee now that they're up 2-1, they have the home court advantage, and Boston, I don't know that, they have, it's almost like because of their run at the end of the season, it was almost like, yeah, this is what this team could have been all along, and whatever reason they turned that switch on. The problem with turning on that switch like that, to me, is if you kind of get punched in the mouth and you lose a game like this, and you played well, I didn't see all the games, so I don't know if the Celtics would think that they played well or not. But the other team, the defending champions, kind of stand tall. Then you got to wonder if you're Boston, you're like, okay, what do we now need to do? Can we change anything? Can
Hmm.
we, we are, this is who we are, this is who we were, and they still beat us. That is kind of an interesting thing because, and that's why it's so hard to beat the champs because Giannis and company, they know what it takes to win it as they showed last year. So, Giannis had I think they said it in the Warriors game where he was just like, I had the taste and now that's all I want is to just win it again. And we'll
Hmm.
see because Boston
You know,
has some some guys who I think Jason Tatum definitely made a leap. Jaylen Brown's playing well. Marcus Smart just transformed his whole NBA game in a season. And they have dogs. I think those guys are really awesome players, but it's almost unfortunate that this is the second round of playoffs and not the conference finals because Boston may have just run into the champions, right? And then
mhm.
it's all for naught.
That's what I think happened. But I think something they could look at going into like, okay, what did we do wrong? Jason Tatum, 10 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, but the shooting, 4 for 19, 21% from the field, 0 for 6 from three, -5. It was a lot of like Wesley Matthews guarding him. And like Wesley Matthews is a good defender, but Jason Tatum should not be getting stopped by Wesley Matthews. That's why I feel like there's a little something like maybe with him because I don't think Wesley Matthews can hold him like he did today. Like it's got to be Tatum, Marcus Smart also 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4. Like Jaylen Brown played well, but I think you can pin it to like, because that's the thing with this team. Like, does everything need to be going well for them to win a game? Because if so, like, that's kind of hard. That's kind of hard to
Mhm.
get everyone going. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll see with this. We'll see in the coming games with this team. I have Bucks in 7. Um, I'm just gonna keep with that.
Is Embiid enough to turn the series around?
It feels
With
like it, but I don't. The Heat have a 2-1 lead now. They have another game in Philadelphia. I think that the Sixers can get another game at home, tie the series up 2-2, go back to Miami. I think by that time, maybe Miami has some stuff figured out about Embiid, though. I think Miami still might win this series, and that's unfortunate because Joel Embiid missed the first 2 games. That it's just in their favor. It's in the 1 seed. That's what you get.
Mhm. And then in the Phoenix and Dallas series now, I've watched a little bit more of that just because they've been on a little later, and when I'm able to kind of sit down and watch some of these games, um, I I feel like this series is based on how well Chris Paul controls the game because he and Luca, now he's not the shot maker that Luca is, right? And he's not going to be the one shooting all those crazy step back threes like Luca, but they control the game similarly in that when the when it's push comes to shove, they have the basketball in their hands. Now, when Chris Paul is playing well and he's controlling the game, Phoenix almost looks unstoppable. But you saw game 3, I think he had 6 turnovers in the first quarter or something like that.
Yeah, bad
He's
Chris
just
Paul game.
throwing the ball all over the place, and that just turns it in. So I almost feel like the series is going to be based on who plays better, who controls the game better between Chris Paul and Luca. Now, you know that is not to say that Devin Booker's not. Devin Booker could completely change the game just on his shooting alone. And Ayton is going to play big and he's going to play well because he's such a good player. But I do think it comes down to those two guys playing because if Chris Paul plays well, I don't see Dallas being able to beat them. And they may even get beat in 5 or 6 games.
Mhm. I don't remember the stats from game 2, but from game 3, it definitely felt like, okay, hello, Jalen Brunson, and hello, Spencer Dinwiddie. Where the heck have you guys been? Because they were really good. And I think that's what we were kind of waiting for. Jalen Brunson had an amazing series against the Utah Jazz. Thought it would kind of carry over, but then again, Suns defense is amazing, and it didn't kind of carry over for that first game or two. Game 3, he was really good. It feels like it just feels like the home court advantage in this year's playoffs. I would love to know the win-loss percentage you have court. It feels like court out ridiculous this year. And Phoenix takes 2 at home. Dallas gets 1 now at home. Philadelphia gets theirs at home. Heat gets both of theirs at home. Memphis splits theirs at home. Warriors get 1 at home.
So does Milwaukee, Boston.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
All right. So we'll be back Monday night, and we may have somebody from the Facebook group joining us. So we may have another 3-man pod here, like a 3-man weave. But before we get out of here,
really quick though. Oh,
yeah.
You got it before we get out of here. I'll do mine. Lots of cool names that was at the game today. Shanahan, Lynch, Walton. I think both Waltons. I think it's a shame. It's not a shame, but it is a shame that the baseball season is happening right now, because I would have loved to see Brandon Bell with a captain hat on in the suite.
I know.
That would have been awesome.
Well, I mean, he left the Giants game early because of a stiff neck.
I heard. Stiff neck, yeah. He should
to the game. That was a hard thing, because we had Buster Posey Day today at the park, and then we had the Warriors game. The Giants game took forever. It was like a 13-7 football score. But
Brian Wilson looks like old Bret Hart.
Brian Wilson, I don't know. Somebody might have to tell him I think he's in his mid-30s at this point. It's okay to graciously grow old, my guy. You don't have to look like a punk rock teenager. That stuff was cool, except for no Lincecum, which always makes me sad.
I know.
Okay, so like I said, we'll have a guest in our, probably, I'm not 100% sure. We'll have someone join us from the Warriors, the Death Lineup Facebook group. If you want to participate, we are on Facebook. Just search the Death Lineup, and you can see that logo, which is right above here. We're right. I can't do it. And join Facebook. So yeah, we'll be back on Monday night. What was I gonna say before we go? I think you messed me up.
I know, my bad.
All right, where can people find you?
What is my stuff? I think it's different on Twitter and Instagram. No, this is just Twitter. I think Twitter's.
I put the wrong one up. Here we go.
Oh, we could just do the BAM. Yeah, I was gonna say my personal. Yeah, follow the BAM on Twitter at the BAM Pods with an S at the end. Instagram at the BAM Pod.
Are you guys
lots of stuff coming out daily?
Are you guys only doing one podcast a week per sport? Is that the rotation?
So 3 podcasts a week. But all these
tons
kids,
of social stuff, right?
Tons of social stuff. All these kids that I brought onto the team that I went to college with, they're seniors, they're graduating, they're not available. Baseball keeps getting postponed when baseball's in season. There's not really anything to talk about football right now. Like, I can't think of anything. And basketball's doing great though.
Yeah, you could do, because Brad and I on the Thompson to Clark in the off season, you're trying to think of stuff. You're trying to create like some fun look backs, and there's some free agency stuff. But I think the conversation is the key. So even if you feel like you have good chemistry with a couple of the guys, like just say, hey, if you're 30 minutes, like just keep the conversation going, because that's key in the chemistry and the repetitions of shows. Is just to keep doing it. Just even if it's for 20 minutes, just keep doing it. So, all right. So we'll be back Monday night. And I know what I was going to say. What is your prediction for Monday night? Which is a little hard unless we know what happens with Joe.
I know exactly. I'm going to take the Warriors. I'm rolling on this home court advantage being like, it is a real thing, but I think this playoffs it's meant more, because the teams, it feels like they're a lot tighter rather than there being some superpower. So I'm gonna go with the Warriors. I do think this. I said 5. I think that was a little optimistic, but heck, if Ja's out, it is gonna be in 5. So
Kerr had an interesting comment after Game 2, said that he really believes in karma. This is not the karma that he believed in, by the way. Like, I hope people don't go back to that comment, because Steve Kerr did not want to see Ja Morant get hurt. So yeah. And one more thing. This is from our buddy Ben Cruz. So Jordan Poole said it was a basketball play. He responded to Ja's tweet saying he broke the code by saying it was a basketball play. He said he didn't do anything on purpose and was just reaching. So that's what we said. That's what it looked like. So
They had the replay. They could have tried to get a flagrant. Nothing happened. I actually don't know the rules on that, but I have a tasty little tweet I'm thinking of right now to queue up.
Uh-oh. So B Gonzalez with a second S. Is that what you are on Twitter?
I have no clue. I have no
I
clue.
think that's what it is.
No, I think it's Brian Gonzalez.
Oh, is it Brian Gonzalez?
Brian Gonzalez with 2 S's.
With
at
2
the end.
S's. All right. So that is it from here. We will see you Monday night after Warriors Grizzlies game 4.